The night was silent in the alien research base. The long corridors were empty, filled only with the hum of machines. A human engineer named Daniel walked slowly, his boots echoing against the steel floor. He was tired after hours of repairing. Broken consoles, his eyes half closed, his mind ready for rest. But then he heard it. It was a sound that did not belong to the base. It's a soft vibration, almost like a whisper, a low rhythm, steady and strange. It was not the hum of machines, not the hiss of vents. It was alive. Daniel stopped. He tilted his head, listening closely. The sound grew louder. It was purring. His heartbeat quickened. Purring. That sound was familiar, but also impossible. Cats purred back on Earth. But here, on an alien base, light years away, the sound felt out of place. He followed it, step by step. His footsteps were cautious. The purring grew stronger, guiding him. Down the cold hallway, he reached a large chamber. Inside, bright white lights flickered across glass walls. Behind the glass, a figure crouched in the corner. Daniel froze, his breath caught in his throat. It was a girl, or at least she looked like one. Her hair was silver and long, her ears sharp and covered in soft fur. Her eyes glowed golden in the light, and her tail swayed slowly behind her. She was not human. She was something else. Scientists stood around the chamber, staring at her with frustration. They whispered among themselves, shaking their heads. She refuses to respond. One muttered, "She is wild, uncontrollable." Another said. They pressed buttons. Lights flashed inside the chamber, but the alien girl only hissed at them, baring sharp teeth. Her claws scratched the floor like steel on stone, but then her gaze shifted. Her golden eyes locked on Daniel standing in the doorway. The purring grew louder, deeper, like a drum inside his chest. The scientists froze, confusion spreading across their faces. The girl tilted her head, her ears twitching. Then she purred again, softer this time, directed only at him. Daniel stepped back in shock. "Why me?" he whispered under his breath. The scientists rushed forward, pulling him closer. "Step nearer, human," one of them ordered. Daniel hesitated. His heart raced. He felt like prey under the stare of a predator. Yet the sound was not threatening. It was gentle, almost comforting. He took one careful step toward the glass. Instantly, the alien girl stopped hissing. She leaned forward. Pressing her hands against the transparent wall, her claws retracted, her golden eyes softened. And the chamber filled with a powerful purr. The sound vibrated through the walls, through Daniel's skin, through his very bones. The scientists gasped. "Impossible." One said, "She has never done this before." Another muttered, "She accepts him." Daniel shook his head. "No, I don't even know her." His voice trembled, but deep inside something stirred, a strange connection he could not explain. The girl's tail flicked once, twice, then wrapped around her body like a shield. Her ears lowered, her body relaxed. She was calm now, calm only because of him. "Step inside," a scientist demanded. Daniel turned sharply. "What?" "No." His eyes widened. "You keep her in there for a reason," the scientist smirked. "She could tear us apart, but not you. She recognizes you." The purring did not stop. It wrapped around Daniel's mind like a lullaby. Soft but unshakable, he felt the weight of every eye in the room. Some of the scientists looked amazed, others looked fearful, and a few looked jealous. They had studied her for weeks, but she never gave them more than rage. Yet now, human engineer had her complete attention. Daniel swallowed hard. He could not understand it. He had seen many aliens, some friendly, some hostile, but this one was different. She was untamed, wild, yet the sound she made was one of trust, one of bond. The scientists scribbled notes, tapping their screens. This could change everything. One said in awe. Daniel stared at her through the glass. Her eyes never left his. Her lips parted as if to form words. But only the purring came, louder, stronger, almost shaking the room. And then, for a single moment, Daniel felt something impossible. It was as if her heartbeat and his own matched, a rhythm, one after another. Joined as one, he stumbled back, gasping for air. The girl's ears twitched, her purring faltered for. The first time, a low growl slipped through her throat. The scientists panicked. Stay near her. One shouted, but Daniel was frozen. His mind swirled with fear and wonder. Why did she purr only for him? Why did she act as if they were connected? The base was full of secrets, but tonight, Daniel had uncovered one that would shake them all. And somewhere behind that glass, the wild alien cat girl crouched low, her eyes glowing brighter, her voice rumbling in endless purrs as if she had found something the galaxy had long denied her. A bond asterisk. Daniel didn't sleep that night, even after leaving the lab. His ears could still hear the soft purring echoing in his mind. It wasn't just a sound now, it felt like a message, a feeling, something deeper. He sat in his small room inside the research base, the lights dim, the walls cold, but inside his chest, there was warmth, strange and new. He didn't know why, but he wanted to see her again. Before sunrise, a knock came at his door. A scientist stood outside with a serious face. "She's awake and still purring," he said. "We need you in the lab, now." Daniel followed him quickly. His boots moved faster than his thoughts. When they entered the chamber again, he saw her, the alien cat girl, sitting calmly behind the glass. Her golden eyes lit up the moment he walked in. Her ears perked up, her tail swayed side to side, and the purring grew louder again. The scientists watched carefully. "We want to run a new test," one said. "You'll go inside." Daniel's eyes widened. "Inside? Are you serious?" "Yes," another replied. "She responds only to you. We've tried food, music, lights, even voice commands. Nothing worked. Only you." Daniel hesitated. His hands trembled slightly. "What if she turns violent?" "She won't," the head scientist said. "Look at her," and Daniel did. She wasn't growling, wasn't baring her claws. She looked at him like she knew him, trusted him, maybe even waited for him. Slowly, the glass door opened. The sound of hissing air filled the room as the seal broke. The girl didn't move. She just stared at him. Calm and still, Daniel stepped inside. The door closed behind him. Every scientist outside held their breath. He took one slow step forward, then another. The purring grew louder, steady like a heartbeat when he was close enough. She reached out a hand, clawed, trembling, and slow. Daniel didn't pull away. He let her touch his arm. Her skin was warm, not cold like he expected. Her hand moved up his arm gently, curiously, and then she purred even louder. Outside, scientists gasped. "She's never made that sound before," one said. "That's not a warning purr, it's affectionate." Daniel didn't understand everything, but he felt something too. This was not an attack. It was connection. She walked around him, circling like a curious animal. Her tail flicked and brushed against his back. Her eyes never blinked, always watching. Suddenly, she leaned closer and rubbed her forehead against his chest. Like a cat seeking comfort, Daniel froze, unsure what to do, but he didn't stop her. The purring filled the chamber, stronger than ever. It vibrated through the floor and walls. Every scientist outside rushed to collect data, scan readings, and record footage. "She's syncing with him," someone whispered. "This is more than bonding. It's recognition." Then she pulled back slightly and made a soft noise. Not a word, but almost like one. Her mouth moved slowly, her lips trembling as if she was trying to speak. Daniel leaned in. "What is it?" He asked gently. She stared into his eyes, her golden pupils narrowed. And she whispered something so faint that the room's mics barely caught it. You, that one word sent a chill through everyone. The scientists looked at each other in shock. She spoke. One shouted, "That's a word. A real word." Daniel backed up slowly, confused. "You know me?" She nodded once, very slowly. "But how?" He whispered. That question no one could answer, not even the smartest minds in the room. The scientists ended the session soon after, but they were buzzing with theories. Some said the cat girl had psychic powers. Others believed she carried ancient memory DNA. A few even thought she came from a planet where humans once visited long ago. But no one could agree on one thing. Why him? Daniel walked back to his quarters later, feeling more questions than answers. But before he reached his door, he noticed something odd. There were scratches on the wall, small claw marks leading all the way to his room. He swallowed hard, turned slowly, and saw her, standing in the shadow down the hallway. She wasn't locked anymore. She had followed him silently. Somehow unnoticed by all the guards, Daniel stared at her. "How did you get out?" She stepped forward, softly, her eyes glowing in the dark. Then she purred again. This time louder than ever. Not out of fear, not out of rage, but out of joy. She had chosen him, and now she wasn't going back. Daniel lay in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He hadn't slept since the encounter. The sound of her purring still echoed in his ears. It wasn't just a sound now. It was alive inside him. The bass was quiet, but too quiet. Even the usual humming of the machines felt distant, muffled like the world was holding its breath. Then he heard it, a soft scratch. Like claws against metal, he sat up fast, heart pounding. Another scratch followed, then a third, slowly. He got out of bed and walked to the door. He opened it, cautiously, and there she was. The alien cat girl stood just outside, crouched low like a shadow. Her silver hair shimmered under the dim corridor lights. Her golden eyes glowed like twin suns. And she was purring, not loudly, not wildly, but gently, like a whisper only he could hear. "Hey," he said softly, unsure what to do. "You're not supposed to be out here." She tilted her head, ears twitching, her tail flicked once. Then she stepped inside his room without asking. Daniel moved aside as she passed him. "Do they know you left the chamber?" She didn't answer. She didn't speak. She just sat near his bed, curled her legs beneath her, and stared at him. Her purring didn't stop. Daniel closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed. "Why me?" He asked again. "Why are you following me?" The girl tilted her head again. Then, for the first time, she pointed to herself with one clawed finger. Then pointed at him. "You," she whispered again, just one word, but it felt heavier than a sentence. The door beeped suddenly. Someone was outside. Daniel stood quickly. But before he could move, the girl rushed to him and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was firm, but not painful. Her claws didn't cut. They trembled. She didn't want to be taken back. That was clear. The door opened. A young security officer stood, their eyes widening as he saw the girl. He reached for his communicator. Wait," Daniel said sharply. "Don't." The officer hesitated. "She escaped," he said. "She's not safe outside the lab." "She's not hurting anyone," Daniel replied. "She's calm." The officer looked uncertain. He stared at the girl, who now clung to Daniel's arm. "Still purring, still watching. I'll report this," he muttered, then backed away and left. The door closed again. Silence returning like a blanket. The girl slowly let go of Daniel's arm. Her eyes didn't move from his face. She made a soft noise in her throat, not words, but something like a song. Low and emotional, Daniel sat again, unsure what to feel. "You don't talk much, huh?" he whispered, "Just watch me like I'm something important." She blinked slowly. Then, without warning, she leaned her head on his shoulder. Daniel froze. His heart beat faster. Her body was warm. Her breath was steady. And that soft purring, it wrapped around him like a spell. Then came the whispers. Not from her, not from outside, but from inside his head. Words, soft and broken. Not his own, not in English, but somehow he understood. Alone, long, cold. "You," he jumped. "What?" The girl didn't move. Her head still rested on his shoulder, her eyes closed. "Was that you?" he asked, confused and afraid. "In my head." No answer came, but the whispers returned, found. Warm, not fear. "Stay." Daniel's hands trembled. "You're talking in my mind." She finally opened her eyes and looked at him. Then nodded once. Psychic communication. Daniel thought the scientists had no idea. He could feel it now. Her loneliness, her fear, her deep need for connection. She had been cold and alone for so long. But when she saw him, something changed. She didn't see him as just another human. She saw him as safety, warmth, a place to rest. "You don't want to go back to the cage," he whispered. She shook her head slowly. Daniel sighed. "I don't want them to hurt you either." The purring grew louder. Her tail curled around his arm like a ribbon. He realized now that the bond between them wasn't just strange, it was dangerous. If others found out she could speak in his mind, they would use her, control her, or worse, dissect her. He couldn't let that happen. "You can stay," he said quietly. For tonight, the girl closed her eyes and curled up beside him on the floor. Like a big cat resting after a long hunt, her breath matched his. Slow and calm. Daniel leaned back. Confused, scared, but strangely comforted. Outside the door, shadows moved. Someone had been watching. And deep in the base, scientists reviewed the security feed with wide eyes. They had seen everything. Asterisk the next morning came with questions. To many of them, Daniel woke to the sound of soft breathing near his bed. The alien cat girl was still curled up beside him, peaceful and warm. Her silver tail rested on his leg. Her ears twitched slightly. As if listening in her dreams, he gently stood up, careful not to wake her. His heart was heavy with confusion. What was she really? Why did she choose him? And what did those whispers in his head mean? Before he could think more, his door slid open. 2 senior scientists entered. Dr. Kalin and Dr. Mora both looked serious. "She followed you." "Dar?" Kalin asked, eyeing the girl with interest. "She didn't hurt anyone," Daniel replied quickly. "She just stayed." Dr. Mora stepped closer, holding a small device. "We ran scans last night after reviewing the footage," she said, "and we found something disturbing." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What kind of disturbing?" "She's not just an alien girl," Dr. Mora whispered. "She's one of the original Falari, the ancient species thought to be extinct." Daniel frowned. "Falari?" "They were a race of wild telepathic beings," Dr. Kalin explained. "Extremely powerful, extremely dangerous. They lived thousands of years ago and vanished suddenly, and now one is alive." Mora added, "Right here, beside you." As if hearing them, the girl stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. Her golden gaze locked onto the scientists, but she didn't growl or hiss. She stayed close to Daniel's side. "She trusts you," Mora said, "more than anyone. That's why we need your help." Daniel crossed his arms. "Help with what?" "We believe she holds genetic memory," Mora said, "buried deep inside her DNA. Ancient Falari knowledge, maybe even secrets about their downfall." Daniel looked at the girl again. She didn't look like a weapon. She looked lost, lonely, and scared. "You want to study her?" Daniel said. "Dissect her mind, We want to understand her, Kaylin corrected. With your help, she responds only to you. She speaks only to you. The girl stood now, silent and still. She walked slowly toward Daniel, her bare feet soft on the floor. She pressed her forehead gently to his arm, purring again. She chooses you, Mora said. She may have chosen you long before you ever met. What do you mean? Daniel asked, confused. Mora held out a tablet. On the screen was an old file. A record from 10 years ago. You were once part of a rescue team sent to a dying colony, she said. There was a child missing, a survivor, but never found. Daniel's hands trembled as he stared at the image. It was blurry. A small figure hiding in rubble. Two glowing golden eyes stared at the camera. That was her, Kaylin said. You passed her once without knowing. Daniel's mind spun, so she remembered me. Valari never forget, Mora whispered, especially when they form a link. Daniel looked down at the girl again. His chest tightened. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't random. Somewhere deep inside her, she had remembered his face. His voice, even if he didn't remember her, he knelt slowly. You knew me. He said softly. All this time, she nodded once, her tail curling around his waist. Mora stepped back. We need to protect her from the others. There are people who will want to take her, use her. The military has already shown interest. Daniel stood, his voice firm. Then keep them away. Kaylin narrowed his eyes. We can't hide her forever. You'll need to make a choice. She's not a thing, Daniel said. She's a person with memories, emotions. And she saved herself by finding me. The purring grew deeper, louder. Her claws gently held his hand now. Not to hurt, but to hold. Suddenly, her voice echoed again inside his head. Long ago. You light, warm hand. Protector. Daniel closed his eyes. He saw flashes, broken images, a fire, a collapsed building. A small alien child reaching out from the rubble. He had carried someone that day. He had thought it was just a small creature hiding. He never knew she remembered. You were the child, he whispered aloud. You've been searching for me. She nodded again. And tears, clear and soft, fell from her glowing eyes. The scientists stood in silence, unable to speak. Daniel pulled her into a gentle hug. Her body shivered in his arms, but her purring never stopped. She belongs with me now, he said. I'll protect her. Kaylin sighed. Then you'd better be ready. Because others will come, and they won't ask nicely. The next few days changed everything. Daniel was no longer just an engineer. He was now a protector, a bridge between species. The alien cat girl, now called Lura, followed him everywhere. She stayed close, never straying more than a few feet away. She didn't speak much, not with her mouth, but her eyes said everything. And when her voice did appear inside his mind, it always came with warmth, with memories, with trust. But not everyone on the base was happy. Behind locked doors, hidden from Daniel, meetings were held. Voices were raised. She's a threat, a commander said. She's a military asset. Another whispered, if she obeys him, we can use him. A third suggested, plans were drawn, and orders were written. Daniel didn't know, not yet, that evening. He sat with Laura in the observation room. Stars twinkled beyond the glass wall. Laura purred beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. Do you miss your home? He asked. Her eyes looked distant, golden and sad. Gone, she whispered inside his head. Long ago. No more. Daniel sighed. Then this is your home now. She looked up at him, and her tail slowly wrapped around his wrist. The door opened behind them. Two medical officers entered, smiling too politely. Daniel, one said, we need her for a quick health scan. Just routine. Laura stiffened. Her purring stopped. Her claws gently touched Daniel's hand. He stood up. She doesn't want to go. It won't take long, the other said, but he didn't look honest. His hand twitched near the tranquilizer on his belt. Daniel's voice grew sharper. If it's routine, I'll stay with her. They looked at each other, then nodded. Slowly, of course, but as soon as Laura stepped into the hall, the trap was triggered. A soldier rushed from the shadows and jabbed a needle into her neck. No, Daniel shouted, grabbing the soldier, but it was too late. Laura collapsed to the floor. Her body twitching, her purring turned to soft gasps. Her golden eyes fluttered and began to close. Daniel dropped to his knees, holding her head. What did you do? He screamed. She's too dangerous, the officer said coldly. We're transferring her to a secure facility. Daniel looked down at her trembling body. Tay. But then something impossible happened. His own chest tightened, pain spreading. Through his arms, his vision blurred, his knees buckled, and he fell beside her. The officers panicked. What's happening to him? I don't know, the other shouted. They must be linked, and they were. Every part of her pain echoed in him. Daniel heard her voice in his mind, weak and afraid, hurt. No, Daniel. Stay. With the last of his strength, he reached out and gripped her hand. Lights flickered, alarms rang out. A new alert flashed across the monitor's heartlink detected, neural sync confirmed. Doctors rushed in, dragging the officers away. Get the suppressants, someone yelled. Keep them alive. Hours passed when Daniel finally opened his eyes. Laura was beside him again, curled up on the medical bed. Her eyes slowly opened too, and their gazes met. He felt her emotions before she even spoke. Pain, confusion, fear, and deep sorrow. You tried to protect me, she said softly in his mind. You hurt because I hurt. Daniel nodded. They tried to take you. I couldn't stop them, but you did. She whispered. You stayed. You felt me, Maura. Entered quietly, her eyes filled with guilt. We didn't know the bond was that deep. She said, we thought it was one-sided. Daniel looked at her, tired and angry. She trusted me. And you used that. Maura sighed. I stopped the transfer. The bond is real, unbreakable. But it also means you're both in danger now. Daniel sat up slowly. Why? Because others have seen the footage, Maura said. High Command is interested now. They want to study you both. They think the bond can be turned into a weapon. Laura growled softly. Her fur bristled. No one's using her, Daniel said. Not while I'm breathing. Maura hesitated, then placed a keycard on the table. There's a supply dock on level 9. A small shuttle is scheduled for repair tonight. Daniel stared at her. You're helping us escape. I don't want to see her in a cage, Maura replied. Not again. Laura slowly stood, her legs still weak. Daniel wrapped an arm around her, steadying her. Let's go, he whispered, and though every door ahead was locked with danger, the bond between them was stronger than any wall. Asterisk, the lights on level 9 flickered. The hallway was empty, quiet and cold. Daniel held the access card tight in his hand. Laura walked beside him. Her steps slow but steady. Her silver tail swayed. Behind her, her golden eyes alert. Her fur had flattened again, tanned, and her purring had turned low and tense. We don't have much time, Daniel whispered. She nodded once. Her ears twitching, sensing every movement ahead, they reached the locked door to the supply dock. Daniel slid the card through the reader. For a second, nothing happened. His heart stopped. Then the panel beeped green, and the door slid open. Inside was a small repair shuttle, not meant for long trips, but fast and quiet, just what they needed. Daniel helped Laura inside. She curled up near the wall, watching as he checked the controls. Suddenly, the alarm blared through the base. Security breach on level 9. A robotic voice echoed. Unauthorized access detected. They found us, Daniel said, heart racing. Laura stood, claws ready, her ears low. And tense. Fight. She asked inside his head. Only if we have to, he replied. Let's try to get out first. He powered up the shuttle. Engines hummed softly. Lights blinked to life. But before the doors could close, 3 guards appeared at the hangar entrance, weapons drawn. There. One shouted, "Step away from the shuttle." Laura snarled, the sound deep and wild. Her tail lashed the air. Daniel raised his hands. "Don't shoot," he said. "She's not a threat." "You're both under arrest," a guard replied. "We have orders to bring her in, dead or alive." Laura stepped in front of Daniel. Her eyes glowed brighter, and the air around her shimmered. "Don't," Daniel whispered. "They don't understand." One guard fired a stun shot. It flew toward them. Laura moved faster than a blink. Her claws slashed through the air, and the stun beam vanished like smoke. The guards froze, fear in their eyes. Daniel hit the emergency close on the shuttle door. It sealed shut just as another blast hit the wall behind them. The shuttle shook, but held. Laura jumped into the co-pilot seat, her tail wrapped tightly around her waist. Daniel grabbed the controls. "Hold on," he said. He activated the launch. The shuttle lifted, turned, and shot through the hangar tunnel behind them. Base sirens screamed. Weapons fired blindly, missing their target. The stars opened before them like a sea of silver. They were out, but not safe. A warning light blinked on the screen. Pursuit drone detected. The computer said, "Interceptors incoming. They won't let us go," Daniel muttered. Laura placed a hand on his shoulder. "Trust," she said inside his head. He looked at her. "What are you planning?" She closed her eyes. The purring started again, louder. But now strange. It carried a pulse, like a signal outside the shuttle. Something shimmered in the stars. A ripple of golden light spread around the ship. The drone following them started to glitch. Its path twisted. Sensors scrambled. "Laura?" Daniel asked, watching the screen. "Is that you?" She didn't answer with words, but the pulse continued. The drone turned sharply and exploded without warning. Daniel stared in shock. "You destroyed it." "Not destroy," she replied slowly. "Confuse?" "Turn away," he blinked. "You have power over tech." She nodded once. Old gift. Hidden. But awake now. More lights flashed on the radar. 2 military ships approached. "We can't fight those," Daniel said. "Not with this shuttle." Laura stood, eyes glowing bright. "No fight." She said, "Hide." She raised both hands, and her purring turned into a hum that vibrated through the shuttle walls. Suddenly, the ship shimmered. A wave of energy passed through every wire, every bolt. The radar went blank. Daniel gasped. "What did you do?" "Invisible," she whispered. For now, the military ships flew past them, scanners searching, but they saw nothing. "Where?" "Cloaked," Daniel said. Still stunned, Laura dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Her body shook. Her energy was draining. Daniel knelt beside her. "You used too much." She looked up at him. "Worth it." He helped her into the chair again, wrapped a thermal blanket around her. "Where do we go now?" he asked. She looked at the stars. Away. Free. Home. Daniel touched the controls. "Then let's find that place." As the shuttle disappeared into the vast black of space, Daniel felt the weight of everything behind them. They were no longer part of the base, the rules, the cages. They were something new, a man and a wild alien girl, bound by something no scientist could explain. And now they were truly alone, but together. The stars stretched far and wide, like an ocean of light. The small shuttle floated through deep space, silent and unseen. Daniel sat in the pilot's chair, his eyes heavy with worry and wonder. Beside him, Laura slept, curled up under a blanket, her tail tucked close. It had been 3 days since their escape from the base. 3 long days of drifting, hiding, surviving. He had rationed food, fixed broken systems, and stayed awake while she recovered. But now, they had reached the edge. Of the known star charts, beyond this point, there were no space stations. Number signals, no patrols, only mystery. Daniel glanced at her. Her chest rose and fell slowly. Her ears twitched with each breath. He had never seen her this peaceful. She stirred, then slowly opened her golden eyes. Her gaze met his, and a soft purr filled the small room. "You're awake," Daniel said with a small smile. "Yes," she said in his mind. Her voice was stronger now, calm. He offered her a protein bar. She took it, sniffed it once, then nibbled. "Where are we?" she asked. Daniel turned the screen toward her. "We're here past the edge. No one can track us here." "But there's also nothing mapped." Laura tilted her head. "Good. You're not scared?" he asked. She shook her head. "With you?" Safe. Her simple words hit something deep in his chest. No one had ever said that to him. Not with such honesty. He looked away, clearing his throat. "Well, we need a plan. I can't keep flying forever. Fuel won't last, and we need shelter." Laura placed her hand on the screen, her eyes narrowing. "There," she whispered. Daniel followed her finger, confused. "That's just dust clouds." She closed her eyes, purring softly, and the stars on the screen began to shift. New symbols lit up, lines connecting across the map. Daniel blinked in shock. "You unlocked a hidden chart." Laura nodded slowly. "Old memory." "Place of my kind, your home?" he asked. "No." "Safe place," she corrected. "Where some still sleep." Daniel stared at the blinking point in the dark. "Then that's where we're going." They turned the shuttle toward the unknown region. Engines, wind, and the stars moved past once more. Hours later, a strange planet came into view. It was covered in blue fog and silver forests. No signs of cities, no signals, just silence. Daniel guided the shuttle down carefully. Trees parted as they landed in a quiet clearing. Laura stood and walked. Outside first, the air was thick but clean. The ground was soft under her bare feet. Daniel followed, boots sinking slightly in the moss. "This place is beautiful," he whispered. Laura sniffed the air. Old. Familiar. They explored slowly. Every step revealed something magical. Glowing flowers, floating stones, soft lights, moving like spirits. Then, in the center of the forest, they found it. A giant tree. Taller than anything they had seen. Its bark was silver, its leaves like glass. Laura walked toward it slowly, her tail low, her ears trembling. "This was sacred," she said. Where bonds were formed, Daniel stood beside her. "What does that mean?" She turned to him, eyes full of something deeper than memory. "Our kind did not bond easily," she said. "But when it happened, it was forever." Daniel swallowed hard. "Is that what we have?" She stepped closer, placing her hand over his heart. "You saw me. When no one else did, you listened." When they wanted to control, her purring began again. Not wild, not strange, but full of peace. Then, without warning, she leaned in and gently touched her forehead to his. A warmth spread through him. Like light, his eyes fluttered closed. In that moment, he saw everything. Her memories, her fears, her lonely years locked in labs, hiding in rubble, calling for help that never came, until him. She whispered one word in his mind, clear and soft. "Mate." Daniel opened his eyes slowly. "Are you sure?" She smiled for the first time, truly smiled. Her fangs barely showed. Her eyes soft. "I choose," she said. "Not by law, not by science, by heart." They stayed by the sacred tree until the stars rose again. In the days that followed, they built a small shelter with what they had. Daniel reprogrammed the shuttle to scan the sky for danger. Laura taught him about her kind stories, songs, instincts, and slowly they built a life. Not as test subject and protector, but as something more. The galaxy was still searching, still hunting for the girl who purred only for one human, but they would never find her. Because out in the unknown, among silver trees and starlit skies, a new story had begun, not of war, not of weapons, but of trust, of choice, of a bond that could never be broken.